Hey loves, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to learn how to make this beautiful slip dress with a cowl neck. So we'll do our pattern drafting first, and I have drawn my basic vertical measurements: the chest line, bust point, half length, the hip line, and the full length. The hip line is from the shoulder to the hip, and then the full length. So right now I'm going to mark my armhole. You can see that this pattern has a shoulder, but I am still going to cut the off shoulder the way I want it. But first of all, I need to draft my armhole before cutting from where I want the off shoulder to stop at. So I'll go ahead and make my correct armhole curve. So I'll go ahead and make my curve. So after that, I am going to subtract where I want the off shoulder to be. You know that this dress has a a strap sleeve, so I want the cowl neck to start at 6 inches. If you want yours to start at 4 inches, you can make it 4 or 5. It depends on how deep you want your own cowl neck to be. So mine is 6 inches, so I drew a straight line there, and from there I will cut off the remaining parts of the upper parts. You can see I have gotten what I wanted. That was the armhole. That is the armhole. I need this armhole curve. I need to get it perfectly before cutting off the off shoulder. So I'll go ahead and take my bust measurement. So if you are sewing this type of dress, you don't have to add your darts. Just take your bust measurement. That is your bust divided by 4 plus 1 inch seam allowance. If you want it to be free, you can add an extra 1 inch for ease. So for the waist, I divided the waist by 4 plus 1 inch for ease and another 1 inch for seam allowance, because I don't want it to be super fitted on the body. But if you want yours to be fitted, fine. But if you notice, most sleeve dresses are not fitted. So right now I will take my hip measurement on the hip line. Her hip is 44 inches, and I added 1 inch for ease and another 1 inch for seam allowance. Then I'll go ahead and connect from my waist to my hip line. So for the rest of the measurements, you just draw a straight line from your hip down. If you want to give it an A-line shape, fine, but from your hip measurement, just draw a straight line down. You can see that my own is just a straight line down, because it does not have to be fitted at the knee part. So this is the front part, and I'll cut it out on fold. So this new pattern is for the back part, and this time around I am not going to add any zipper allowance. Even if you want to add a zipper to this type of dress, it is advisable to add the zipper to the side. So the front and the back are going to be the same shape. The only difference is that the neckline of the back will be deeper. You can see the neckline of the back will stop at the chest line exactly. You can see that I folded my pattern paper and I will draw a straight line there. The neckline of the back will be straight. I don't want it to be triangular or anything. It will just be straight at the back, and it will stop at the chest line. You can see the front and the back will be equal at the chest line, but the neckline of the front will be higher than that of the back. So I'll go ahead and cut out the remaining parts of the back. Like I said, the front and the back will be equal both in measurements and in everything. The only difference is the neckline. So I'll go ahead and cut out the back parts. So for the people that want theirs to be fuller, you can make this to have an A shape at the knee length, but you don't really need to do that. So this is the back, and I'll label it back, and also remember to cut it on fold. It will not have any zipper allowance, remember. So right now I am going to draft our cold neckline. So at the chest line, I am going to slash the chest line. You can see where I measured my chest line. So sorry, at the bust point, I'm going to slash my bust point. You can see where I measured my bust point. So I'm going to slash it so that I can get the shape of the cowl. So I have slashed and I will open it this way. If you want, you can cut it on your fabric directly, but I want to add a pattern paper under it so that you can keep this pattern for other dresses that you want to make. So I have slashed my bust point, and I'll go ahead and place another pattern paper under it. I'll place another pattern paper under it, and I will hold it down with my gum. I'll make use of my candle gum. I will hold the pattern paper down with my gum so that I can get the shape of the cowl neck that I want. So you can see that I have spreaded it. If you measure it, you can see that they are 6 inches apart. You can spread by 6 inches or 8 inches depending on how full you want your cowl neck to be. So I'll go ahead and use a gum to hold down the upper part. So right now I will draw a straight line from the center line. You can see the center line of the front. I will draw a straight line upwards. You can see you make a straight line upwards, and then you will draw another straight line that will join the former neckline. You can see how I am drawing this line from the center of the gown. You make a straight line up, and then you make another straight line to join the former neckline. Then you go ahead and cut out the shape you have. So doing this on your pattern paper will be easy for you. When you are cutting, you can just split it on your fabric and then cut out on your fabric. So this is the fabric that I'll be using. This is a Duchess fabric. This one is the thick one. We have the light Duchess. I'll advise you to buy the lighter Duchess so that the cowl neck and the slip will flow very well. So you can see how I folded my fabric. I folded it like a triangular flea. I did not just fold the normal way we fold. You can see I folded it in a triangular form. This will help give you that flay-like shape. If you notice, slip dresses do have a flay-like shape down at the down part at the full length. So if you fold your fabric this way, it will help you to achieve that small flay around the knee part. So this dress that I'm cutting, the length is 48. It is a 3/4 slip dress. So folding it this way will help you achieve that flay to not just be straight. So I'll cut out the full length. You can see I'm done with the front. You can see the neckline, how it looks. So if I open it up, this is how the neckline will look. And if you pick it, you can see the cowl shape is out already. So I'll go ahead and cut out the back part. Like I said, the back part will be on fold. It will not have any zipper allowance. And you can see that I folded my fabric in a triangular manner, in a triangular form. So I'll go ahead and cut out my back part as well. This dress does not need any dart at all. So I'll go ahead and cut out the back part. So if you can see, I added a small A shape down the back part, because when you are cutting this, it is advisable for the back to be kind of wider than the front. But if you want, you can just make everything equal. So right now I'll cut my facing. This dress needs a facing. Don't just turn it with a bias, turn with a facing. So I am folding my facing for the front, and this is the front. I will go ahead and place it there and then cut the facing. So the facing, for me, the facing should reach the half length. If you have enough fabric, the facing, you cut both the armhole and everything together. You can see that the facing will cover both the armhole, so it should reach the half length if you have excess fabric. So this is the facing for the front. I am done with that. You can see it has the same shape with the front. This is what I will use to turn the neckline of the front and the armhole. I will turn the armhole as well. So I'll fold another one. This one that I'm folding right now is for the back part. The back part you have a facing too, but if you don't have excess fabric, you can use your bias for the back. But the front, the facing is very, very necessary for the front. So I'll go ahead and cut. So I am done with that. Right now I will cut the strap, that is the sleeve, like we normally call it spaghetti sleeve. So I'll cut the strap for the sleeve. It will be 13 inches, let's say from 13 to 16 inches. Maybe when your client fits it, you can now cut the excess. So this is what I have. So this is for the front. I will go ahead, I have covered the strap for my sleeve, I have turned it, so I'll go ahead and place it. You can see where I am placing it, and I'll leave like half an inch close to the armhole. This half an inch space is the allowance that I will use to turn the armhole. Remember I told you guys that I will turn the armhole too. So I'll pin the other one. You can see, so after pinning the sleeve or the strap, you will now go ahead and place your facing. You can see, pin it down, because if you are using a duchess can be hard to handle sometimes. So pin it down, then you go to your sewing machine and turn the neckline. So add your sleeve before turning your neckline. So I'll go ahead and sew round, and I'll turn the armhole as well. So I am done turning the armhole for the front and the neckline. So this is the facing for the back. So I will go ahead and measure 4 inches from the center back and notch. That 4 inches that I measured is where the sleeve or the strap for the back will stop at. So you can see where I marked my chalk. I'll go ahead and notch. That area that I notched right now is where I will insert the strap or the sleeve for the back. So if you are adding your facing, do not sew on that area where you notched, because that is where you will insert your sleeve from. So I'll pin this one down also, and I'll go to my sewing machine and join. And remember, if you after sewing this facing, remember to top stitch. Then you can overlock the other part of the facing, or you can fold it. As you can see, I folded my own, and I have turned this one as well. This is the front. So I'll go ahead and notch. I will notch the armhole area and the neckline area. It is very important. I will notch and I will top stitch, so that the facing will not be coming out, will not be showing on the right side of the fabric. So I'll go ahead and top stitch on the facing. So this is the back. You can see I have added my facing, and I did not sew on that area where I notched, because I need that space for my sleeve or for my strap. So if you are top stitching, remember to leave that space as well, because that is where you will insert your sleeve from. So here is the front. I am done. As you can see, our cowl shape is out. You can see our cowl shape is there already. So right now I am going to pin the front and the back together. You can see I have ironed the facing for the back, and I have ironed the facing for the front as well. So right now I will place the two of them together, and I will take my measurements. So you can see that space that I left before. That is where I will insert my sleeve from, or my strap, for the people that do not understand. So this is where I will insert the strap from. I'll insert it there and I will pin it down. So I'll go ahead and pin this down. Do not sew on it for now, because if you're sewing it for your client will have to fit it so that you can get the actual measurements, or the normal measurements, before sewing on it, because you not like to sew and loosen. It will spoil the fabric. So right now I will pin the front and the back. Two of them will be equal at the chest line, like I did when I was cutting the pattern. The neckline of the back started at the chest line, so two of them will be equal at the chest line, or the armhole line. So I will go ahead and pin. Then after pinning, you can take your body measurements, but if you don't want to do that, since you know the allowance you add there, you just go ahead and shape with the allowance. Please remember to pin, because working with satin or duchess fabric can be difficult. So I am done. I'll go ahead and pin it down. Then after pinning, I'll go ahead and shape and then fold the down part. Do not fold with a bias. Fold it to be very tiny so that it will give you that flay like shape. So at the end of the day, this is the final look of our sleeve dress. This is my client wearing it, and it is very beautiful. If you have little adjustment, you can see the hip, you can go ahead and do your adjustment. So thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.